Welcome back, Alchemist. This is Wealth Principle 47. We've been traveling through the Wealth Principles for 47 months. Now, Wealth Principle 47 is hyperfocus. Hyperfocus, the law of hyperfocus. The reason we're talking about this is because we're here to double our income, double our net worth. Hence, if you're still committed to the cause, doubling your income and doubling your net worth. We're still excited about it? All right, cool, excellent. So it's been an entire year. In fact, we're recording this right now on December 31st at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means we've only got a few hours left. We've got less than a day of 2022. We were just celebrating some of our wins. And I'm noticing the people who won the most were hyper-focused on one specific thing. But hyper-focus itself only works if you've simplified your life. If you right now have a whole bunch of clutter and things that are like taking you down that you're busy doing every single day, then it's going to be really hard for you to hyper focus on one thing. If there's other distractions, if there's things that are taking you away from having time to work on your one thing, then it's going to be basically impossible to focus on a really important thing. Who here is already noticing a lot of distractions in their lives, whether it's business, clients, family, friends, the market doing what the market does, which is not always what we want it to do. In fact, one of my very close friends owns a lot of Tesla, if you know what I'm talking about. And Tesla did this like all the way down thing. So if he was watching it, like most people watch sports, he'd get depressed when it's down, excited when it's up. But what he did is instead, he put himself into a really good position. And he's been buying more Tesla on the way down. Hence, if you know, doing the right things, simplifying your investment. He simplified his investments a little while back, so that he had more of a cash position to go into deep things when the opportunities are there. So hyper focus. I'm going to tell a story this final story of the year, because I think that we remember stories better than we remember facts. Who's heard this before? Facts tell, stories sell. Who's heard this? All right, so this story is going to be, you're going to learn a lot on this one. And you've heard it before. I told the story last year when I did Hyperfocus. So for everybody who's new to this, Wealth Principle 47 is the law of hyperfocus. It's also known as the law of singular thought or the law of maniacal thinking, which is where you just do one thing. You have one purpose in your life, one thing you do every week. If you've read the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, then you're familiar with this idea. Now, what you might not be familiar with are my fictional characters. So every great story has to have characters. Who here is a character in their story? You're the hero, I hope, right? The captain of your ship. All right. So if you don't think you're the hero of your story, you might want to change books, change the story. So first character is Pete. Now, Pete is, we'll call him a average gentleman. In fact, all three pairs in the story are going to be average. Character number two, Bob. Bob, the freaking builder, right? I literally stole Bob the builder because he makes the perfect character. Then this is Max, because he reminds me of Doug McGurk. Max is, high energy, loves great things. Here's the thing. All three of these friends went to college together and they got normal jobs together. They got great wives separate. They didn't share the wives. And now they all have kids. Hence, Karen, if you can relate to any one of those scenarios where you've had a family, work, and kids. All right, so they get together and they decide they're going to get into real estate. They're all sitting at the table. They decide they're going to get into real estate, but they all kind of going in these like different directions. So what happens is Bob was on the internet and he saw this guru come up, and this guru was talking about wholesaling. He types in, what's wholesaling? So Bob's researching real estate, maybe goes to Chat GPT, and real estate comes up to all these different options. And Bob chooses the option, you don't have to do it with any risk, and there's no money involved, and you're able to make fast cash. Hence, if you've heard of wholesaling real estate before, you're familiar with that? Awesome, excellent. All right, so he says, I'm going to go all in on that mentorship. And Bob says, I was searching the internet and I found this guru who's like, investment flipping. So you flip real estate like HGTV, buy the house, mess it all up, and like 3 hours later, the house is perfect and you sell it for a massive profit. Hence, Karen, if you've seen HGTV and that's kind of the vibe they get, 30 minutes later, like $100,000. All right. So he decides to go all in on flipping. He hires the guru, he signs up for the courses, he goes through all the training, and he starts doing flipping. And this is Max. So Max, he sees this guy, Walter, the real estate mentor, and he's doing this thing, buy, hold real estate, and he pays him some large sum of money to go through his course. Now, The challenge with real estate is there's a lot of different options to get into it. Who's noticed this already? No, it's lots of different options, lots of different avenues. Here's the deal. These three men, by all accounts, except for the shape of their bodies, are about the same. They've all decided on a guru. They decided real estate, then they decided a niche, and then they decided on the guru to fit the niche. Hence, if you recognize they're following the right steps. They identified what they wanted to do. They found a person who knows how to do it. So they go down this path. And now a year goes by and they get back together and they review each other's strategies. And they all agree to go back and do their own strategy. Now, each one of them, who here's been with somebody who's tried to convince them to do their own thing? Has anybody sat with a wholesaler who's like, you got to wholesale, right? Or sat with a flipper and they're like, you got to flip. Or sat with a buy and hold guy who's just laughing at everybody, like, oh, all I do is landlording. And if you know these people, right? The gurus are out there, the students are out there, the people who are actively doing it. Everybody believes in the thing that they're doing. But these three friends decide to just love each other for who they are. They go back a year, another year comes by, another year comes by. Finally, year 4, they sit down at the table and they put their income statements and their net worth tracking statements. First friend, Pete, he's done 5 flips in year 1, 5 contracts, wholesaling contracts year 1, then he did 10 the next year, then he did 20 the next year, and then he did 40 the next year. Who here knows doing 40 wholesale deals is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's definitely a lot. And then number 2, that was Bob the Builder. Bob does 1 flip in year 1, he does 2 flips in year 2, he does 4 flips in year 3, he does 8 flips in year 4. And we know flips average about $50,000 per flip. Wholesale deals about $5,000 flip. Hence, Cam, if you agree with those numbers, that's about accurate. So by year 4, we've got Pete is earning about $200,000 a year. We've got Bob is earning about $400,000 a year. By the way, these are year 4. These are not beginning year numbers, right? Year 1 sucked for everybody. Pete made $25,000 in year 1. Bob made $50,000 in year 1. Hence, Cam, if that makes sense, sounds about right. You did 1 flip or did 5 wholesale deals. Now, Pete, obviously Maximizer, the real estate guy, the landlord. So he has bought a 3-family on year 1. Who here knows that's probably the easiest place to start. If you don't have a bunch of capital, you can do owner occupied 3-family, start off with a small multifamily. So he starts with a small multifamily. Year 2, he buys a 6. Year 3, he buys a 12. Year 4, he buys a 24 unit. Hence, Karen, if you understand, that's pretty reasonable. He's just buying 1 deal per year, 1 rental property per year. Maybe he's doing the BRRRR method. Maybe he's pulling money out of other properties. Maybe he's buying things seller financing subject to. Who would like to go take a look at the numbers? Interested in seeing the actual spreadsheets? All right. So this is why today the talk took a little bit longer for me to get started. I had to go do the research. And the research is this. Pete makes about $250,000 a year, but I started tracking his net worth also. I went back and I said, okay, his income's up there. He's busting his ass. Who here knows wholesaling is a job? It's a job. You got a lot of systems, you got a lot of people involved. It's like a big organization to make only $200,000. But he's crushing it and he's slaying. He followed everything the guru said for 4 years. He's totally dedicated himself. He's just absolutely slaying it. But his net worth is under $50,000. Now I started everybody with the same net worth of $5,000. I want to be very clear. I gave them all a fresh start. $5,000 is how they started. And then I set Pete to double his net worth every year, because that's about what he can afford with this $200,000 lifestyle he's living. A lot of that money is going out too, because it's expensive to run the team for wholesaling. Then we got Bob the Builder. Now Bob, he's flip year 1, 50,000, year 2, he made 100,000, year 3, 200,000, year 4, 400,000. But he's also busting his butt, crushing it in renovations. He's got to go pick up the contractors' materials. He's got to get the next deal. He's doing a lot of off-market stuff, talking to agents, all the crazy things that we have to do as flippers. Plus, he's dealing with contractors on top of it. Everything he does with a wholesaler. Plus, he's doing a lot of contracting. Now, one of the cool things is that him and his boy Pete sometimes do deals together, right? Bob sometimes buys deals from Pete, so that's good money, right? Hence, Karen, if that's like really helping each other out, like keep it in the family. But his net worth has not gone up dramatically, because every time he gets his money, he has to roll it back in to do the next flips. Who here's seen that in real estate? You buy the building, you get the money, and then you got to put it back down to buy the next building, next building, next building. Even hard money requires 20% down. So his net worth hasn't really skyrocketed, but his income has gotten up to $400,000 a year. But again, he runs a big company and it's a lot of work. Now, Max is cool. He's chill, right? Kind of like my boy Doug McGurk. Love Max. So he's year one, not earning a lot, and his net worth has gone up to about 30,000. See that gray bar is about 30,000 his net worth, because on year one, that 3-family he purchased at a 10% discount. Now, he didn't take the money because it stayed in the property. It's something called equity. Who here is familiar with equity? We understand how net worth works. Now, income wise, now his boy Pete on year one is making 25,000. Max, he only makes about $200 a unit. So he made like $3,000 that year. Who here knows he made about $7,000 in year one? Who knows that's not a lot of money to brag about when your boys are making 25 and 50,000. Year two, similar situation, only makes about $14,000, $15,000 passive income, right? That orange is his passive income. Even year three, it's still only about 24,000. Year four, it's only about 50,000. It's like $50,000, $60,000 in passive income that he's earning. But if you look at the chart, his net worth is over $600,000 at a 5% annual appreciation. That's all I put in, was 5% annual appreciation and a very small debt pay down. Ask Karen if you understand the difference between where these three friends ended up over that 4-year time period. If you don't today decide to hyper focus on the right thing, you will 4 years wake up with a very different lifestyle. Who sees the difference between those three friends? Highly motivated, highly dedicated, talented individuals, hyper focused, right? Hyper focused, hardworking, grinding. But the results are completely different based on the 3 strategies they used. We're catching this? I don't care how hard you work. If your plan is wrong, you're going to end up in the wrong place, right? The better your plan is, the better thinking, the more thought you've put into where you want to go, the more intentionally, the more powerful your hyper focus can be. Who knows they want to go somewhere they're going to be happy with 4 years from now, 5 years from now, right? It takes 3 to 5 years to build a millionaire. Although some of my coaches will tell you it takes 2 to 3 years to become a millionaire. I'm with that. We're on a mission to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. Hand scan if you're still involved, you're still ready to do it, you're down, let's get it. How do we build millionaires? I get the question often. We build millionaires through helping people buy real estate. Am I a real estate agent? Yes, but I will not ever walk you through a property. If I am walking you through a property, I've messed something up. Something has gone terribly wrong in my life. So if you see me walking through a property and acting as a transactional agent, I've made a mistake. But we do it through teaching realtors how to work with investors. Who here knows a realtor in Alchemist Nation? Know anybody? Yeah. That's the person you should work with, right? If they're a realtor in Alchemist Nation, I like them more than I like any other realtor, because at least that realtor is focused on doing things morally, ethically, legally. They understand how to evaluate properties. They understand how to find off-market deals, and they understand your goals as an investor because they're also an investor. Who here agrees? I'd rather work with a realtor from somebody within Alchemist Nation. I don't care what brokerage they're at. I don't care. The broker doesn't matter. All that matters is that the agent has the abundance mindset. The agent's going to outwork for you. The agent's going to go out and do whatever it takes to help you become a millionaire, because they're also committed to build 100 millionaires. That's what I've been teaching lately, is work with investors. In my class, Work with Investors, I teach how to build millionaires. That's my only focus. This year, we're building our 100 millionaires. And after this, I'm teaching 100 realtors how to build 100 millionaires. Hence, Cam, if you're willing to go tell a realtor to get their ass in this course and make it happen, hell yeah. If you know any realtor, send them. Send them to workwithinvestors.com, because I'm tired of the industry being just ridiculous. And that's my hyper focus for the next couple of years, is clean up the industry. So how do you do it? What are some of the benefits? Before we dive into how, what are some of the benefits? There's four benefits to hyper focus. The first is increased productivity. When you know what you want, it's easier to say no to things, and it's easier to get really good at one thing. Like Mike Shine, he's an attorney, and we call him the holistic attorney, right? He's the closer. He's also the keeper of the books. The strategy for a great attorney is not to do all of the documents. A strategy for a great attorney is to hire a great paralegal and team to do the documents, and then to be out networking and having connections with human beings. Because he hyper focuses on the relationships. He hyper focuses on partnerships. He's able to have a much better impact than the average attorney in this business. Most attorneys just sit there behind their desk wondering where the next client's going to come from. Mike goes out and wonders what the next deal that the client is doing. He already assumes the client because he's out there hunting and looking for them. Does that make sense? because he's hyper-focused on serving and hyper-focused on building millionaires, which means they have to have deals. It means they have to be real estate investors, have to be working with realtors who are working with investors. Number two, benefit, improved quality. When you hyper-focus on doing your one business, your clients will notice it because you're going to have more knowledge, more experience. So if you're doing flips in Fall River, Massachusetts, you pick a market, hyper-focusing in that market means you're going to do a much better job with each one of those projects. If you're doing rental properties in the same city, you're going to find that your rental properties start getting better and better because you know the tile to put down, you know the flooring to put down, you know the paint to put in, you know what electrician is going to give you the best deal, what electrician is going to get the job done right. That's if you understand your properties improve over time because you start getting systems, right? Quality gets much better. Number three, benefit, greater efficiency. Oh my God. Ron and I save so much money because we buy in bulk. I know what I'm going to paint the next unit. The same thing I always paint all of my units. I know I'm going to put flooring in the next. We have in our basement, one of our basements has all of our materials that we could ever use. It's always the same stuff, same flooring, same tile, same paint. And so when you go over there, you just grab the inventory and you run it. And guess where we put it? Our biggest building. It's if that makes sense. It's efficiency, right? It allows our guys to go to one place, do one thing. And the price was better because we bought at a large amount. We used our Home Depot discount that we get from the National Real Estate Investors Association, and we bought in bulk. Number four, benefit, enhanced innovation. Because we're so obsessed with what we do, we start learning little things that can make it a little bit more. Right? Who here's known us in Alchemist Nation? Our classes are free. We got over 65 courses for free on Alchemist Nation. Anybody notice that? Over 65 courses free. Most of the people out there teaching how to buy real estate, they're like, well, okay, you got to pay $1,000 for my online course. We're like, yeah, because we're focused, we're hyper focused on building millionaires. We're able to go out to successful millionaires and get them to donate courses. And the innovation is now you're able to message. Who's sent somebody a message on Alchemist Nation before? Sent a private message to somebody? Does anybody ever message me? Yeah, it works. That's an innovation. That wasn't a feature that was available before. But because we're hyper focused on serving one target audience, millionaires, people who want to become millionaires, that one group, we're able to start adding what we knew they needed was communication with each other. So you could partner up. So you could talk to each other, you could do deals together. Those elements only come from hyper focus. Who here knows they're going to focus on one thing this year in their business? Who here knows that's the key to success, the absolute key to success. Elon Musk is really good at one thing. Elon's good at one thing, whatever business he's in at that moment. In the beginning, the first business was Zip2. He did Zip2 4 years before he sold. He did not start another business while he was in the middle of Zip2. Hence, can't commit to stick to one business. One business, 4 years. Give me 4 years, right? One business. That's all it takes. Then he sold Zip2. He started X.com, which then became PayPal. Guess what? Stayed in it for 4 years. And then he sold that business for over $1 billion. Stayed in it for 4 years, sold the business for over $1 billion. Then, by the way, hands can if you commit to stick to one business, one thing, 4 years, whatever it takes. He bought, so important to know. He did not build Tesla. He bought Tesla. He became a majority investor in Tesla. We're catching this. Somebody else built Tesla. He became a passive investor in Tesla. If you did not know that, go back and do the research or look it up, because he's not the creator. He's a passive investor, always has been. And he acquired up to 20% of the company. So he became the CEO because the board decided that he would make a great CEO, because at that time, he learned from 4 years in one business, 4 years in the next business. 4 years into Tesla, the company was extremely valuable. 17 years into Tesla, he's the richest man on the planet. Tesla for 17 years. Hans Camp, if you're catching this, he's an investor. And that's what really leveled him up. But he had to invest in each business one at a time. So again, do you commit? Hans Camp, if you commit to be absolutely dedicated to one business for 4 years, Hans Camp, if you know what business that is, you got it already in your head. You already know which one. Excellent. I'll hold you to it. All right. It's like one of my coaches just say, we'll see. All right. So here are the 5 steps to becoming hyper-focused. 5 steps that you can apply today to become hyper-focused in your business. Step number 1, set clear goals. And if you want to set clear goals, Vinny Chopra just gave us a full goal setting worksheet. It's 5 pages, but it's super deep. It goes deep. This is goal setting worksheet from a billionaire. Who knows they know how to set goals better than you do. financial goals anyway, right? And also health goals, because he's healthy, does miracle morning every morning. He's been married to his wife over 20, 30, 40 years. And if you know, that's a pretty good run. He's good at setting goals and crushing them. All right, so the goal setting worksheet, you can go to Alchemist Nation, and it's one of the top posts, or you can go to Vinny's free course, which is multifamily syndication made easy. So go and check out that goal sheet. I've put it in the feed. So that's a free download for you. So you can download or you can work with the PDF. Set clear goals. I'm not going to tell you again, right? Well, I'm going to tell you 1,000 times. Who here's read it in every book you've ever read? The first thing they start off with goals. Yeah. I'm going to say goals 1,000 times. I'm just not going to say it again today. Step 2, prioritize tasks. Prioritize the most important task. And the most important task is not always the loud task. It's not the one everybody's complaining about. The most important task is the one you never have to do again. The most important task is the asset built. Once it's built, it sits there and operates for you beyond your energy. Who here's been on alchemistnation.com during the day? Anybody been on alchemistnation.com during the day? Who's been on alchemistnation.com during the night? Check this one out. Has been at alchemistnation.com during a weird hour where nobody should be on it except for you. You knew you were the only one who would ever be on. I was not on because we built an asset. We built something that you can leverage anytime you want without taking any time from me. Who here's gained value from something you gained from Alchemist Nation that didn't have to do with me directly, didn't take my time directly. Excellent. Give yourselves a round of applause. I love you. Thank you so much. My time is so valuable and I appreciate your time. So you can on demand go and check things out. That's an asset. That took a long time to build. And it took a lot of money, a financial investment in the employees and the developers and the people that we brought in to put everything the way it does. And it building the relationships with the other influencers, the other coaches, the speakers who are putting their courses out there. All assets. I prioritize those assets over the one-on-one call with somebody who is brand new, who I've never met before. Hence, Cameron, if you know, that makes a lot of sense. People who are already committed to building for you, like employees to me or partners to me or even contractors to me, are more important than my clients. I will always prioritize the people who are building assets before I prioritize my client, because their priority is the client. That's not the client is not my priority. That is their priority. Does that make sense? If you still think the client is your priority, you're still in the business. You've got to pull yourself out of the business and make your team your priority. This making sense. This is something we talked about at the summit on day the VIP day. If you're not there yet, it's okay. We'll get you there. Step 3, eliminate distractions. We did this last week in Wealth Principle 46, which is simplify your business. You must eliminate all distractions. Distractions come up in so many forms. 1, TikTok. 2, everything else on your cell phone, except for calling the person who you're supposed to be calling right now, except for creating the content, creating the text, creating the email, giving the high five, making the handshake, showing up to the event, booking the appointment, scheduling the call. And Scan, if you understand, if it's not one of those things, it is a distraction. But I 100% guarantee you, if it involves a screen and there's not another human being actually in conversation with you on that screen, that is a distraction. If we also, I got to say this because we also will say, oh, I was learning, I was educating myself. Who here's read books and said that was business related? Anybody done that? It's not true. Reading books does not make you money. Reading books does not change your life. Implementing books makes you money. Implementing books changes your life. We were taking a course and be like, oh, you know, it's a business. It is a business expense, but I'm working. You know, I'm at this course. I'm at this event. I'm working. We've all felt that. We've all thought that. No, what you're doing is preparing to work. You're getting ready to work. You're getting your mindset right to go and do the work. But the real work is the conversations you're having with each person. Now, what brings the work, makes it work, is obviously your mindset. So super important. Step 4, practice mindfulness, which is why we read the books, which is why we go to the courses, which is why we spend time in meditation. That practice allows you to make clear decisions, good decisions that are long-term. Who here's felt sometimes maybe they've made a decision that was like, not the best decision? Has anybody ever like been a little stretched from both sides, stressed out, and the decision that came out of it was just we'll call it was a half-assed decision? And then who's had to deal with the repercussions of a shit decision? Has anybody had to put up with like I made a mistake and now I got to stick with the things I said I was going to do. I hate that. It's the worst. So mindfulness protects you from your worst enemy, which is a tired version of you, right? Let's be real. There's two versions of you that you just don't want to do business with. One is drunk. The other one is exhausted, right? Like and they're both about the same. They're kind of, they're whatever kind of personalities. But there's one personality with you that you never, ever, ever make a mistake. And that is when you're absolutely certain of yourself. When you're in a state of joy, bliss, love, or confidence, you always make the right decision. Who's noticed that? You make decisions that were clear when you were in a state that you felt empowered, when you felt strong about who you were and where you were going. Yeah, okay. I realize not everybody feels like empowered at all times. Who would like to feel empowered more often? The easiest way to feel empowered is to sit down for 5 minutes, stand if you want to, walk if you want to, but spend some time with yourself, just recognizing that you are the one. There is no other one waking up inside of you tomorrow. You are the one. You're the one whose story has existed the last 20 years, 40 years, 50 years, 70 years, 80 years that you've been on this planet. You're the one. And it's okay to be right where you're at. It's okay to be where you're going. It's okay to have been where you have been. But today there are decisions to be made. And whatever decision you're going to make is going to be the right one, because you're the one who decides. Hence the camp, if you agree, you are the captain of your ship. There's no one else. It's just you. Find peace in that. However you go, it's going to work out because you set a very intentional goal. Set a very intentional goal. Step 5, if you're being hyper-focused, is you must take breaks. If you don't take breaks along the way, you're going to burn yourself out. Who's heard like these guys on Facebook? You got to grind, you got to work, you got to hustle, you got to go and do all this stuff. Who's heard these guys, right? On Instagram, on TikTok, right? You see the other bald guy out there that who just got arrested. So these guys believe in the hustle and the grind because they know you're going to eat it up. They know like that's what you want to hear. You want to hear grind, hard work, because that's what you grew up with. Who grew up with a parent saying if you want to make something in life, you got to grind, you got to work hard, you got to hustle, right? You got to show up. Yeah. They don't talk enough about breaks. Even when you're working out, when we're weightlifting, we take a minute break. If our heart is pounding too much, we're sweating too much, we're not getting the full workout that we're supposed to be getting for bodybuilding, for muscle building. Right now, obviously cardio, just burn whatever. When you're an Olympian, they put you to rest. They calm you, they sit you down, they make you eat. You have to stop, you have to rest. Otherwise the muscle fatigue gets burnt out. Like the muscle will just get destroyed. It needs time to repair itself. It's the same with your mind. If you're out there every day, like I take naps religiously almost every day, just because it makes my decision-making better. That 15 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes an hour, 2 hours, I don't care how long I sleep, it doesn't matter. Or if I sleep 2 hours, take a 2-hour nap every day, it's not going to negatively impact my business because the business doesn't need me. I do, like Doreen will tell you, I got to take 2-hour naps just about every day. That's what I like. Around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I'm gone for like 2 hours and I come back and I do webinars, right? If I got webinars at night, like I'll definitely take a 2-hour nap before the webinar because it recharges me, makes me a better person before I face each one of you. I'm coming at you with a fresh mind instead of the guy who just made all these decisions for businesses and was a little stressed or worn down. Who here knows hyper focus comes from having a hyper goal, a hyper valuable goal. What about passive income? What about a $10,000 a month passive income as a goal? What about making the net worth of $1 million as the goal? What about, for the rest of us who have already hit those goals, what about that $10 million or that $100 million? Set that as the goal and then just work towards it for fun. Not because you have to, not because you need the money, but because it's fucking fun to build stuff that other people get to use. It's really fun to build things that are impacting other people's lives positively. And occasionally take a break to enjoy what you've done, spending some time in peaceful meditation, which I get asked a lot. What am I doing tonight? I'll spend time with me today, writing my goals for each one of you. Like that's my intention. Tonight, I'll be spending time just thinking about blessing myself and being thankful for the opportunity to serve this community at the level that we're serving and setting the goal of, 10,000 people through work with investors, setting the goal of having all of these people actually understand, comprehend, and use and leverage the tools that we give them so that they can go out and build millionaires. I'm setting the goal for each one of you who's committed to becoming a millionaire in 2023 to become that millionaire. That's my night. Like, if you think you're having fun, I'm having 10 times more fun because that's how I'm spending the night. I'm thinking about how you're going to be successful, how we're moving you forward, how all my plans for you and for this community are growing and moving without me. Hence, Karen, if you understand, that's a blissful experience. And what I found is this is how I like to go into the new year. with my eyes wide open, looking at where I'm going, hyper focused on who I'm serving and how like their success is guaranteed. Hence, Karen, if you can do something very similar this year, even if you got to go spend time with family, even if you got to go out with your friends, even if you got to, do some sort of experience, tomorrow is another day. Or right after this call ends, you can spend 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes just visualizing yourself as successful and just not asking how or who, just focused on what it feels like, what it looks like, what it feels like, vibrating at that high state. My goal for 2023 is just vibrate at a higher state of energy. That's it. My only goal for 2023 is just vibrate constantly at a higher state of energy so that when I do communicate with you, when I communicate with other people, vibration's high and I'm putting out the right energy. That's it. That one goal impacts every single one of us at a higher level. Hence, can't recognize that's high leverage, hyper focus, high leverage. Now, I already got the business structures in place. So I figure if I'm the person who motivates and inspires, then all I got to do is vibrate at a higher level with the people that I'm around, because my team's smarter than me. My property managers are smarter than me. Business partners are smarter than me. Or my lenders are smarter than me. my investors, my contractors, they all know their things better than I know it. So then my thing is just to high five them and ask them what they think is right. Right. Send out that positive energy.